All right. So what is evergreen content? It is content that no matter where you are in time and space, it's always going to be relevant and it's always going to have good search volume. Someone's always going to be looking for it. All right. This is stuff that you want to get on your site because there's always going to be demand. All right. So, if your niche is sports, if you're only ever covering breaking news and the news cycle of sports, then that's not evergreen. All right. But if you talk about something very, you know, something more well evergreen, you know, like what are the rules for football or something like that. Um, there's always going to be demand. I think the best one I saw was how to tie a necktie, and then you can work YouTube around that. You can work blog posts around that, and you can work affiliates in there by selling stuff. All right, so that's great content. It's great material that's always going to be useful for people, and that's what evergreen content is. Now, obviously, it's going to be difficult to build an entire brand around that. If you can, that's awesome. And you're probably not going to necessarily always want to do that because some things you want to get in um, at the cutting edge. Right there at the beginning. One of my best posts ever was for Dirt Legal. It's one of my main clients, and it shot through the charts for when California changed their dirt bike laws. And so definitely not a an evergreen topic, but we wanted to be get ahead on that, and it's done well for a long time now. It's for 2022, and it's 2 years on. It still is the number one on SERPs on Google. So that is an example of something that's not, but still does quite well. But you want to have a good mix of both evergreen and then topics that are trending. All right. Um, but ideally, you want to have in your hip pocket some evergreen content that you can also always refer back to and that you can use. Things that people are always going to look for in like the motor vehicle space, and motorsport space. That's going to be like, how can I save taxes? Everyone always wants to know that. You're always safe with that. And it's not things like how you can save taxes in 2024. That's not going to do it. But how you can save on income taxes, everyone is forever wants to know that. So things like that are important to know. And you will need to be a little bit savvy with keyword research to get that, because you're going to need to search for these topics in whatever niche you're in, whatever market you're in. You're going to need to start to query things and see how they trend. So you will need a tool that gives you that can kind of do trend analysis. Like I said, I use SpyFu, and I believe it does this. I know the more expensive ones like SEMrush and Ahrefs, they do, for sure. Which you can probably find this information on their free trials. So what you want to do is take things and look at them over time. All right, one of their examples that's on the Ahrefs blog. I really appreciate this. I like it because I like crypto. Um, is like Bitcoin mining. All right, Bitcoin itself is probably, there's definitely some keywords in there that'll be evergreen topics. All right, like what is Bitcoin? It's probably going to be something people have been asking since 2009. All right, but then they were getting a little more granular with like Bitcoin mining. When you look at the chart, you can see that it spikes in popularity and drops back down. And that's not what you're looking for. You want something that's an even keel. Like it's steadily growing. There aren't a lot of spikes, not declining. You don't want things that have tapered off. That's not generally useful, but you want things that are either have stayed steady or on a steady growth path, things that there is steady interest in. And then other rules apply, like when you are going to use those keywords. Because really, this is kind of just doing a keyword hunt. And when you're doing those things, you want to bear in mind, how hard is it going to be to rank for this keyword for these evergreen topics? If it's going to be super hard to rank for, I mean, maybe if you're writing your own content and you're not farming it out, then it might be worth it to give it a shot. But if you're paying, $1,000 a blog post or whatever, 500, you might not want to do that. So that's really up to you. But you definitely want to keep some information on your site, in your web content, that is going to be relevant 5 years from now. Because what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go in, after a couple of years and kind of evaluate these things and update them. And that's something I'm going to talk about more extensively down the road is updating. And I'm going to use a process I used this past spring and summer when I updated an entire catalog of articles. All right. Learned a lot about it, learned a lot about things you need to do, things you shouldn't do. All right. Um, but for sure, you want to find some stuff that are in that's in your market that particularly if there is a void in your market in your particular niche, you need to exploit that. And if it's things that there are questions that keep coming up, then those are great. Those are the ones you want to kind of hone in on and answer those. Especially if those have been questions that before you even do any keyword research, you've looked around your industry network, talked to people, and these questions have been coming up for years. The same question. That's your in right there. And that's what I love about doing keyword research and why I find search so fascinating is it's the technical side of a human application. All right, it's us looking at things like we have these questions we need answers to, and SEO is just the technical manifestation of just us as humans trying to find answers to questions, which is something we always do. So that's where it's really cool is if you have a normal social life and you're not a weird bridge troll, um, the shut in. If you actually have a social circle and they keep asking the same things, I mean, there's a demand right there. You've proven it in real life. So anyway, evergreen topics, very important. And you probably already know some right now because if you know anything about anything, you probably already have an idea about what is lacking. So anyway, take care, guys. See you tomorrow.